Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
Here we are, the two of us.
Indeed.
If Patreon's your thing, check out the link below in the description. Loads of stuff on there, but one of the main things we want to tell you about is we just started the series, The Last Chance You, which has got me gripped straight off the first one.
Yep, same here. It's been so interesting.
Yeah, first one should be out by now, so if Patreon's your thing, check out the link and get into it. But that Last You is something special.
Very good. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, looking forward to the rest of the series.
Same. A bit of Fire Electrician.
Yeah,
we do like him.
Indeed, yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, talks a good story, doesn't he?
I like that. I've got into the way he does it now as well. He's quite sort of like, not aggressive, but he's...
There's a couple of people we watch on here where you watch their content and you think, they talk a good story.
Yeah.
And one's him and one's Donut Operator.
Yeah,
and they do a podcast together.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Imagine that.
I can imagine what that would be like.
100 mile an hour, right?
Yeah. Gee, just a bit, yeah. I'll have to try and watch a bit of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know they did one.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's called Unsubscribe or something like that.
Yeah.
The podcast.
Right.
They do it together.
Okay,
Yeah,
I have
so
to check that one
imagine
out.
it's pretty good stories.
Yeah.
The greatest attack jet you've never heard of.
Ah, right.
An A37 Dragonfly.
I've never heard of that, funnily enough.
Me neither. Let's get into it, eh?
Pretty much everybody already knows about America's gun with wings, the A-10 Warthog, and a ton of more people already know that its grandpa is the original Thunderbolt, the P-47, and its dad is the A-1 Sky Raider. But pretty much nobody talks about the A-10's mom, which is actually where it got the DNA for a nose-mounted minigun. Today we're talking about the A-37 Dragonfly, aka the Super Tweet. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a 5,000-pound fighter jet carrying 3,000 pounds of napalm. That is literally a ton and a half of firepower in a very small package.
Series 4 deatomizer.
That's what I'm talking about.
Noisy cricket.
And on the off chance that 3,000 pounds of jungle jelly wasn't going to be enough to get the job done, it also has a GAU-2 minigun underneath the hood, capable of firing 3,000 rounds per minute. The only downside with that was it could only actually carry 1,500 rounds with it, but hey, it's going to be a wild 30 seconds.
It was okay at best.
I wasn't talking to you. Anyways, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, the A-37 is the aerial equivalent of a go-kart covered in guns. This thing is absolutely tiny. To put it into perspective, the F-4 Phantom, which was the other fighter jet used all the time during Vietnam, was weighing in at 55,000 pounds, and the Dragonfly is coming in at 5. However, despite its small stature and the fact that it gets literally no recognition for it at all, it is arguably the most effective fighter jet of the entire Vietnam War. Once upon a time in 1952, the United States Air Force came out and said, hey, we need to incorporate more jets into our fleet. The only problem is we don't have many pilots that actually know how to fly a jet, so we need to get a new type of jet trainer plane that we can train all of our pilots on. Cue the Cessna T-37. It was absolutely perfect. It was small, cheap, easy to...
I think we watched a reaction. Didn't we react to something on that Cessna, where they were training them? I think we did.
I can't remember that.
Yeah,
one.
I think we watched some kind of training video where they were flying these for the I think it was the Vietnam War.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay.
to take off, easy to land, super easy to fly, and it had side-by-side seating for an instructor and a student. This jet was so perfect that it was actually the U.S. Air Force's primary jet trainer for 52 years. It didn't retire until 2009. The only problem with the T-37 is that it generated a very, very high-pitched shrieking noise while it was running. That noise unaffectionately earned it nicknames like the Screamin' Mimi, the 6,000-pound dog whistle, my personal favorite, the Converter, due to its unique ability to convert fuel into fucking noise, and of course, the Tweety Bird, which would later be abbreviated to simply the Tweet. And that's pretty much all you need to know for right now. Fast forward to Vietnam. All right, so Vietnam, basically the United States is finding out the hard way that ultra-fast fighter jets like the F-4 simply are not that great at providing close air support to troops on the ground. As it turns out, it's pretty hard to aim a bomb while you're traveling at the speed of Mach fuck and actually hit the target. Who'da thunk? And as we've talked about in a previous video, this is actually where the Navy's A-1 Sky Raider is performing way better than anybody thought it should, due to its ability to fly low and slow and actually engage a target accurately. The Air Force, seeing all the Navy's success, said, hey, we need to do the same thing. The only problem was the Air Force didn't have Sky Raiders, and they didn't have the time to come up with a whole new plane, so what do? You take the Air Force's T-37 trainer jet that every pilot you've had has been trained on for the last 2 decades, cover it in guns, and send that bitch into combat, obviously. Okay, obviously they didn't just cover it in guns, they also gave it a cool paint job, they swapped out the engines, gave it a couple of General Electric J85s. Those are 3 times more powerful than the original engine, and they ran so hot and the Dragonfly sat so low to the ground that it would actually melt the asphalt beneath it if it didn't get going once they started it. And then also, I don't know why I think this is so cool, but I do, these little nub thingies on the end of the wings now, those are extra fuel tanks. Each one of those holds 95 gallons of fuel so that it had a better combat range. So the Air Force created this badass little fighter jet. The only problem now was none of the actual fighter pilots wanted to fly it because it wasn't cool enough. It was too small, it was too slow, blah, blah, blah. So the Air Force was like, well, I mean, technically, pretty much every pilot we have has been trained on this thing, so fuck it. They just started pulling pilots from other places like refuelers, supply, cargo pilots, everybody, and they just started putting them in these little...
Can you imagine them?
Yeah, I'll have a go.
Guys just running around with supplies and stuff. Drop fly one of these. Like, oh, yeah. Where's that red ball?
Going straight into combat though, right?
Yeah.
The good news is you can fly it.
Yeah, I bet they'd absolutely love it, wouldn't they?
Yeah, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Fucking jets and sending them into combat. Surely this is a recipe for disaster, right? Wrong. The Dragonfly and its not fighter pilots would immediately go on a rampage. They quickly became the most accurate close air support aircraft in the entire Vietnam conflict. Their average accuracy was within 45 feet of the designated target. Bah! 45 feet doesn't sound very close to me. Bah! Dude, we're not talking about playing darts here. This is 3,000 pounds of fucking jungle jelly and white phosphorus. Believe me, the only difference between a bullseye and 45 feet is maybe enough time for you to say, oh fuck, before you wake up dead. Not only was the A-37 Dragonfly absolutely devastating to the enemy, but it was also virtually untouchable in the most comical way possible. You see, enemy anti-aircraft gunners were accustomed to firing at F-4 Phantoms traveling at like 1,400 miles an hour. But when the Dragonfly showed up topping out at like 500 miles an hour, the enemy anti-aircraft gunners would always overshoot, so the Dragonfly pilots just got to fly and watch all the flak and shit explode like 5 miles in front of them, and then they just got to drive right through it after the fact. Maybe the best example of slow is smooth and smooth is fast I've ever heard. Which brings us to the second chair in the phallic excavation. I mean dick dimple, I mean cockpit. Second chair in the cockpit. Remember how I told you they were side by side, one for student, one for instructor? Well, in the combat version, the Dragonfly, they didn't need a second pilot or a spotter or anything, so the chair just went empty most of the time because, well, it was more weight for sticky fire. That was until word got out that these planes pretty much never got shot down, and then all the bigwigs wanted to go on a ride so they could be in a combat mission. If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you that that second seat in the A-37's cockpit, it's kind of like that chair in the corner of the hotel room. It pretty much goes unused, and if it is being used, whoever's in it's probably just there to watch. I cannot believe I made that fucking joke. But wait, there's more. Not only is it super accurate, not only is it very safe, it's also extremely easy to maintain and really cheap. The Dragonfly has a 2-to-1 maintenance ratio, meaning that for every hour it's flying, it requires 2 hours of maintenance. This means you can give 2 Dragonflies to a crew of maintainers, and they're able to keep one of those birds in the air 24/7 all the time if that's what the mission requires. This is the epitome of accuracy by volume. So just to be clear, when it comes to close air support during Vietnam, it is the most accurate, the safest, and the easiest to maintain aircraft, and you get all of that for $400,000. And that is exactly why nobody knows about this fucking plane. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'll explain it just a little bit slower. The United States military just took a bunch of pilots with subpar training for the tasks that they were assigned, stuck them inside of subpar fighter jets, and then sent them into combat. And then they somehow outperformed the fighter pilots that had actual fighter pilot training and the enormous super expensive fighter jets. Now be honest, do you really think that the politicians and high-ranking military officers that are in charge of budget-related shit are gonna let the world know that? Absolutely not. Okay, we can't have everybody running around knowing that the napalm coming out of a $400,000 plane is just as hot as the napalm coming out of a $5 million plane. It'll be fucking anarchy. As far
I think you got to look at the opposition as well and how they've developed.
Yeah.
Why it's not being used now.
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
the technology that's been developed sort of thing, would you still use it in something like it's probably the equivalent, but a lot more advanced.
Other things would have taken over by now, I'm guessing. But at the time, it was a genius idea.
Oh, absolutely.
I certainly agree with like the anti-aircraft fire as well, because they will be trained to fire in front of the jets, won't they? They'll be going so much faster.
Yeah.
So they're just
plodding along.
Muscle memory, they'll be the same one, so they'll be shooting straight past, they'll just come past them again, won't they, about 5 minutes later. So, it's a good point.
Yeah.
As far as the world needs to be concerned, the more money we spend to kill a motherfucker, the more dead he is. I guess. It's fucking stupid. So the war in Vietnam ends and the US military cannot get rid of these dragonflies fast enough. They are literally giving them out for free like they're fucking candy. They're giving some to Australia. They're giving some to the South Vietnamese. They're giving a bunch to the countries in Central America. Some of the ones that went to Central America are still in service today. That shows you how badass this plane really was. So they give away all these perfectly good planes for free, but then trouble would strike because now guess what? Oh no, America doesn't have a close air support plane anymore. Who could have predicted this? I guess we better just, build a new one. It's going to be bigger. It's going to be better. The minigun in the nose this time is going to be absolutely enormous, and it's all going to come at a price tag of like fucking 20 times as much. But hey, politicians got to feed their kids somehow, right? Ladies and gentlemen, the best thing to ever come out of political corruption, the A-10 Warthog, aka America's gun with wings. We have now officially come full circle. So, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the A-37 Dragonfly is the most effective fighter jet that you've probably never heard of, and it's all because it and the men that flew it were way too good at their job for their price tag. Thank you for watching the video. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com.
Yeah.
There you go.
Really interesting, that.
It was a good story, that really, wasn't it? When you think
very
about
good.
it.
Yeah. I've never heard of it. Like I said, never heard of the
I never heard the story about why they were used.
No,
or how
same
they,
here.
how they went into battle in the in the Vietnam War.
But he always comes up with some good stories, though, don't they? I like the way he puts it over as well. It's so good, and some of his phrases.
The politicians as well, which everyone's having a go at. The
oh,
moment, aren't they?
yeah. I think
that's a global thing at the moment. I don't think anyone's getting away with anything right now.
No, that's just taking us red, isn't it? Against politicians, they're all the same, aren't they? I think every country you go in, I think they're all pretty much the same, aren't they?
At the moment,
yeah.
It's got real bad, but there you go. It's good.
That's a
though.
great story.
Great story. Yeah,
really enjoyed
fantastic
it.
as always.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.